So women's wear, a big thing here in Pakistan, especially with all this lovely embroidery that I love so very much. Let us begin with whoever would like to answer this question. Go ahead. There's no specific order. Let's keep it casual. So women's clothing has consistently been the biggest crowd puller in Pakistan. How has this key segment evolved, and how have your particular brands evolved over time?
Actually, the entire retail sector, I think Shamoon gave a very good briefing about how it's evolved. It's very recent. 2010 onwards is when it all started. And women's wear has really driven the retail transformation journey for Pakistan. 10, 13 years ago, for example, most of us are from the women's brands. So Altaf would be able to give a very good review of what used to happen in Pakistan. There was a huge demand for women's wear, organized, fashion-oriented women's wear. But the sector was dominated by a very, very textile mill-oriented business model. And what happened is, with the introduction of the lawn business is what really took the women's wear off in the early 2010s. And Sana Safinaz being a pioneer in that, and once all the businessmen saw that there was an idea of a three-piece suit, and actually we were just discussing it yesterday with Altaf of how they created that concept. And once the demand was visible to all the businessmen, it far outstripped the supply, and that's where I think everyone started seeing this as a huge potential for retail. And once the business model made sense in terms of volumes, I think that's where the retail business started making sense to everyone. Before that, it was more of a distribution model where you would give it to a distributor, they would sell it all over to these small outlets in Pakistan. So I think that is where things started changing. 2014-15 onward, there was an influx of brands. Some of them became serious, came into the retail sector. Some of them faded out, but I think that's where it started. And I mean, you guys, Altaf, if you can add something to that.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Yes, so the lawn business, as Wasif was talking about, was created, or at least the designer lawn concept came up, was introduced by Sana Safinaz. They're my partners in the business, and they actually created this whole concept of a three-piece suit being packed and sold. So that's where I think the designer branding sort of started in Pakistan. And the lawn business was initially held by the larger companies. So Alkaram would be one of them. There was Gul Ahmed. So, these guys would have printed fabrics which would be sold, throughout the year. The concept of designers coming into this was started in the early 2000s. And that's where it evolved from.
Okay. Right.
I would like to add to this that I think from the consumer perspective, what has changed in the last couple of years is in the very early days, people were buying the product. But now I think, as the gentleman before us, Ali, and as Shamoon also mentioned, I think consumers now not only buy the product, but they also buy the entire experience. The brand buying just a product is also influenced by a lot of other factors such as emotions and how buying that brand or wearing that product makes you feel.
This emotional aspect that you've just brought to the discussion, is it a generational thing? Do you find that the Gen Zs are more into the experiential buying, as you placed it? Do you think there's a difference?
I definitely think that the new generations and the Gen Zs, they make a decision based on emotions, and social media has a large plays a large role in that. Mm-hmm. But I also think it's also because there is so much competition, and the brands that do well generally are the brands that differentiate themselves. Mm-hmm. And differentiation via emotions and differentiation via different campaigns and creative marketing is what sets brands apart from, let's say, departmental stores.
Right. And you go ahead, sir.
Sorry, I'd like to just add to that. I think with more and more women coming into the work environment has definitely helped all the brands develop or sort of grow. Because with women coming into the working stream, the demand for the clothes has increased as well.
Yeah, I'd just like to chime in with what Altaf just said, because in terms of, so I can at least give you a woman's perspective now. Selling a woman's brand and also being a woman, because I'm probably 18 months into this industry, but I've probably worked more than 2 decades of my life. So I had been a very young entrant into the workforce when all these lawn exhibitions would happen. And I would remember that first paycheck and we would be going into those exhibitions. And from there to graduating to the fact that, dude, I don't have time. I would like to have Pret. So as a woman buyer, and I'm sure many women buyers, whether they are working and not working, now they would like to see more and more Pret also. So that's also another part of product evolution that has happened.
You said product what?
Product evolution that has happened over the last few years, where we've also been trying to put this Pret product into our stores to cater to women today, whether it's Gen Z or whether it's a working woman, whether she's a student or a stay-at-home mom. She needs the convenience of a stitched suit when she goes to the store. So the preferences are also shifting regardless of age groups. So that's also another part of women's clothing evolution that has happened over the last few years.
And this digital evolution, you just brought up Instagram and other social media platforms. How are your brands evolving with these new social media platforms? I don't know if you are on TikTok and these newer ones, but what do you feel about that?
So what I feel is that all brands, again, not only in Pakistan but worldwide, take advantage of the social media platforms, and this gives us the ability to target our customers, and it's very effective marketing because we're able to really drill down. It's not shotgun marketing anymore. It's more about targeted marketing to a targeted audience, and I also feel that people who understand who their customer is, who their target market is, they generally do better, and they take more advantage of the social media platforms that are there. And all the content that is created now is created for social media as well. So, all of our videos, all of our photographs are made in a way that, they are friendly or they are compatible for these online social media platforms.
So I'd like to add to that. I think social media is critical. Our fashion business actually can't run without it anymore. It's as simple as that. And if you look at, we saw a good presentation about what creative advertising is. It's actually pushing us, the retail sector. It's pushing us towards having more creative ideas. Otherwise, it was the same old thing where we were trying to sell a product, just the same picture. And I think it's great in the sense that the customer is giving us the feedback whether our campaign, whether our product is viral, accepted or not. So we don't really have to wait for the feedback in a 3-month feedback loop. It's instant, and we know whether we've made it or not. Yes. So and I think it's in the sense that all of us are now, if you ask us, we were doing the traditional form of advertising. We've shifted to a social media form of advertising. But then there's TikTok. Then there's more platforms which we're not even aware of. If you ask us, maybe one of us would know a little bit about TikTok. But our
my generation does not know TikTok. I'm close to 50. So
yeah. So how to target the next generations is still a challenge for us. We might have just understood Facebook and Insta. Right. But for the next generation, we still have to work more.
Jeez. If I could just add here that social media today is not just about awareness. You now use that, and social media and digital both. It's I agree with him that it actually is used as probably a different alternative, and probably a more seriously taken alternative to your conventional form of platforms like TV and out of home. And secondly, it's probably one of the biggest tools of your online conversion, and online, for us at least, is a significant portion of our business, and it's growing. It's growing every day.
So
for
your
us.
online e-commerce is growing
Absolutely.
at a more rapid pace than your retail.
Absolutely. So
Yes.
brick and mortar is very significant for us, but online is growing at a pace we can't even keep up with it. Yeah.
So good thing we have those younger Gen Zs who know how to create content for us. I want to talk about something very important. There is a very high inflation rate in the country, which has resulted in lower purchasing power, and it's created a spike as well for cost for businesses. Moving forward, how do you think that fashion brands can flourish despite the shrinking pocket size?
I want to start with this. I think there is so much. I understand inflation is there, and there are a lot of challenges. But with challenges, I think there are a lot of opportunities, and I think opportunities are more. We're a country of 250 million population, and if you just think about it, every single person living, 50% of our population is below the age of I think 18. And if you think about it, like, if you just break up the segment in two sections, one is clothing, one is shoes. I'm from fashion retail, so I'll talk about that. So 250 million people need to buy 2 shoes a year. That's 500 million shoes consumed. Each person needs to buy at least 10 meters of fabric. That's 2.5 billion meters of fabric consumed. If we are like, so what I'm trying to say is that we're a population. I mean, we're not a high consumption population, but every population needs to wear shoes and every population needs to wear clothes. And if we are just able to sell that, I don't think, at least in these two industries, we'll have any challenges in the near future. And there are so many opportunities. And I just feel that branding is very important, and making your place in the market is very important. But I doubt, I mean, we don't have the capacity. Like just to put like a number out there, 500 million shoes are required. 15 million shoes are produced in Pakistan, which are exported. Maybe 30 million shoes are in the cottage industry.
Yes.
So we're short 450 million shoes. So we have a massive demand.
But doesn't that depend on whether you're dealing with mass market product or niche market product?
It does, but again, you have brands that deal with mass market, you have brands that deal with niche markets, but there is still demand. Like, demand is not something, and as a brand owner and being connected to other brand owners, I haven't seen as such the demand go down. And again, my other colleagues can
Yes,
guide
go
on.
ahead.
So if I could just add here, sorry, Altaf, you wanted to say? Okay. So just going through McKinsey report, Business of Fashion, they talk about trends for 2024. One of the leading 10 trends is that the customer's intent, now they cover China, US, and Europe. These are the 3 markets that they speak about. And the one peak trend that they've spoken about is that consumers' intent to purchase will come down by 16%. Now you're talking about these markets where consumerism is well established, retail is well established, documented, and consumers have a good right and access to all of this. There too, recession is setting in, and setting in quick and fast. So I would say that the phenomenon is not unusual. We should embrace it, and whatever planning that you're doing around your brands, look for. I can reasonably confidently speak about most of the brands that are sitting here. Everybody grew in 2023, 2022 also, despite whatever was going on. So the demand exists. I agree with Asad. The demand does exist. You probably need to price your product correctly, price it appropriately to meet the pocket. The pocket has shrunken. And your apparel is no more a key product that a consumer would opt for if they are struggling to make ends meet. But if you price your product correctly, the demand does exist. And also to support that, your supply chain, because there's a lot of bullwhip effect that also happened during 2023, miscalculation of demand, what has happened at the consumer's end, and just over planning in terms of what you want to bring to your stores. So if you also have your supply chain intact and agile, it has to be very agile. It has to respond to changing consumer moods, consumer demands, because another thing this report says that consumers will be traveling a lot. So just some things for us to kind of keep in mind, but we just need to embrace it and we need to plan around it. Yeah.
I think fashion is evolving constantly. So, with the pocket size shrinking, the designer brands and I think everybody will just have to reimagine and recreate, what they're producing. So maybe hire more embroidered products, which are more expensive, would have to come down. Your printed products will probably go higher up. So it's just a matter of, how the design teams work out, reducing costs. I think that's the only way that, the brands will continue to produce and push.
So I have a financial background. I'll have kind of a different view. Whenever you make projections for a sector, you start with the country's GDP growth. That is the basis for all your projections for any industry. Forget about fashion, any industry. Now, we are facing very challenging times. We've had zero growth, negative growth in the last 1 year. But as you heard, there's been growth in the brands that are sitting in front of you. What I would suggest is that there is demand destruction going on because the disposable income has been wiped out for at least the strata, which we would call the SEC C or B minus. Let's put it that way. So we have to be very careful when we say that we feel that everything will be okay. It'll be okay for some people who manage it smartly, like a lot of people have said, whether you act on pricing or the product. But whenever the country's GDP growth goes down and the inflation goes up, it is bound to affect your consumption. There is no question about it, scientific data. So what I do understand from the feedback from all our colleagues is that the brands that we're representing will do well or will at least face the headwinds in a better manner. But there's, as I mentioned earlier on, there's a huge unregulated market, which is not unbranded market, which is, as many of us would know, is based from Faisalabad. It's a textile producing hub in Pakistan. That entire segment is not facing those challenges very well. So we've all seen that, we're all very aware of that. So it's kind of a mixed bag. The challenges are there, and we should be very careful about how we handle those.
So it will weed out some of the commerces.
So I just want to add one more thing. Again, I'm an opportunist. I'm very positive about Pakistan, and one of the things that I feel is that with again challenges, opportunities come, as I said earlier as well. So one of the things that I see is with our rupee depreciating, and with what's going to happen is people in Pakistan are going to be traveling less, and foreign brands are going to become much more expensive. So this is going to pave a lot of opportunity for our local brands to develop and further grow. And for example, people who used to buy shoes from foreign brands, now there's a huge opportunity to buy them from Pakistan, leather goods, clothing. So all of this, and again, as I said before, people will be traveling less because maybe as in general as Pakistanis, we will not be able to afford travel because it's become so expensive, dollar has become so expensive. So all of this money will be saved, and again, I feel that this will be spent in our local economy.
And it's great that you brought this point up because that was my next and last question on exporting this beautiful craftsmanship that you have in this country. And what are your views on taking these Pakistani brands outside?
So I'll just take a brief start on it, and then they can fill this in. But I feel that worldwide, Pakistani textile is, it's world standard textile, and we are currently exporting to. We export about $20 billion worth of textiles from Pakistan every year, and we are the suppliers to most of your world-renowned brands. Mm-hmm. So our retail is also at world standard. We have all the IT, everything is at par with international retail. So there is no reason that we cannot export our brands. And
isn't Karachi the capital of fashion for Pakistan?
Oh, yes, definitely.
So I hear.
I think we have a few
So I
Lahore
hear.
brands sitting here, so caution, caution. But I would say that the entire Pakistan is very reasonably fashionable. And if I could just quickly put in my 2 cents here, I think with so much Pakistani diaspora just going over, we've had like a brain drain happening over the last couple of years, given whatever's gone. I think there is an amazing buying power sitting outside of Pakistan as well. And it's also evident to us in some ways without making much of an effort on our e-commerce channel, or when we get overseas Pakistanis coming in, and we these are our little learnings on how much they crave Pakistani brands when they go away from Pakistan. And so I feel that there is definitely a tremendous opportunity in terms of their buying power. They're earning in a different currency. We're producing in a very different currency, and our exchange rate advantage can definitely play out. However, the caution there is that is local demand completely exhausted? So I would just say I would agree with him that Pakistan definitely itself within domestic setup also offers tremendous opportunity. However, Pakistani diaspora sitting over there and making USDs is a big target market for any brand sitting here or within Pakistan.
Yes, USD or AED.
Or AED.
In the UAE.
Absolutely.
Just going back to your previous point about social media and how that has helped, I think social media has definitely helped all the brands, gain market share abroad. We've seen huge growth in our online businesses, and that is because of social media. And I think it's using a lot of the platforms that are available that has definitely helped all of us, find a huge market outside Pakistan.
Well, yes, go ahead.
So this is where I'm very bullish, as Asad is about everything else. The expat community, the product that we were able to sell to them, let's say at $100 just a year back, is now available to them at $50. So their ability to buy our products at double the volumes is already there, and we've seen that happen in the past 12 months. The uptake of fashion products from expat communities is going up. Secondly, there are around 10 million just Pakistani expats in the world, and our brands actually attract the South Asian diaspora, not just the Pakistani diaspora. And if we count that in, that's more than 100 million with India and Bangladesh and Sri Lanka and Nepal combined. Now, that is a huge market, and wherever we are targeting our social media, we seem to get those results. So exporting with physical bricks and mortar is the next step. We've already gotten the test marketing through our online portals and through our social media. And there we have a couple of brands. Shamoon was right here. He's expanded to the UAE and the UK. And I think most of us are currently discussing how we can actually move to that the next barrier, which is a much more capital-intensive bricks and mortar model. But I think the data suggests that we can do it, because 1 million Pakistanis per year are still moving abroad to the GCC, to the Western Europe and the North America. So in terms of the prospects for all of these brands to export our products, I think it's just increasing year on year due to multiple factors. That's demographic and exchange rate depreciation is just increasing their buying power, and that's really positive for us.
So the future is bright, ladies and gentlemen. Please put your hands together for this incredible first panel of the day. Thank you very much, panelists. Thank you.